Welcome back to the show, guys. This is the final segment. I want to thank Will for, riding along for 4 hours, taking 4 hours out of his day to ride along with me and hang out and do the show. Appreciate it.
Not a problem, man. I live what I preach, man.
Well, I like I said, I appreciate you coming on the show, and it takes it takes a lot of energy to do 4 hours of radio, and it's not easy. It's easy for me to talk because I have all this knowledge in my head, and people that know me know I don't shut up, and I like to talk. So it's easy for me to blather on about many things, but it does drain you after a couple hours. So I know what what it entails. So I do appreciate you coming on. So.
Oh, not a problem, man. I usually don't get an outlet to even speak about this information with like-minded individuals, and it's really an honor to be on the show, man.
Well, hopefully we'll get you your own show going soon, and then people appreciate what you have to say, Will. So I know a lot of the listeners, everybody in the chat room is thankful that you came on the show. They love your opinion, so they love that cool. You're a smart guy, and you understand things on a deeper level. In fact, a good book for you to read would be David Ray Griffin's book, Cognitive Infiltration. Go get it and read it, because he takes Cass Sunstein's paper with all his theses about the 9/11 Truth Movement, how it should be destroyed, and he looks at it exoterically, which is how we look at things normally, and then he looks at it esoterically. And when you look at it esoterically, that's where I got that's when it popped into my head when I heard George Bush saying, the conspiracy theories. That's why I said, yeah, George, we know you're talking about yourself, because that's how Griffin looks at he's like, maybe Cass Sunstein meant this, and then he looks at it esoterically and shows you how there could be hidden meaning behind it, and it's just a way of tearing it apart. And showing it to you, and I think you'll really appreciate it because you understand things on an esoteric level. So,
well, David Ray Griffin, cognitive
infiltration. Yeah, cognitive. That's the book. It talks about Cass Sunstein's paper, which let me see if I find the name of the paper. It is. I have to look it up really quick, but he did a paper back in 2008, and it was called, for the life of me, I can't remember what it was called.
He co-wrote it, I believe, right?
Yeah, he co-wrote it, and it was written. Let me see. I'm looking at it right now in an article I wrote. I'm trying to see. It was It's called Conspiracy Theories, and it was on conspiracy theories. It's called Conspiracy Theories, Causes and Cures. And then in 2010, a British, quote-unquote, domestic extremism expert named Jamie Bartlett of a think tank called Demos, DEMOS.
Well, think tanks always got to look out for, but yeah, go ahead.
Of course. Well, but this guy is a domestic extremism expert, in Britain. And he writes a paper which is stunningly similar to it, like very similar to it.
It shows that they're on the same page there, huh?
Well, it just shows you that it's like when 2 or 3 different news networks say the same thing. Okay. When you would see Glenn Beck and Bill O'Reilly on the Fox News Network, and then Anderson Cooper on CNN.
Different versions of this story.
Exactly. And that moron, Ed Schultz, and you see all 3 of them, or all 4 of them rather, agreeing on something, it's a talking point. When they're all spewing the same crap, that's a talking point. And that's almost like what this is. It's like a talking point. And they're just, instead of having this crazy American, they have this respected British guy do it.
Yeah, when we look at 9/11 conspiracy, why does a British domestic terror expert have to look at that? Why don't we look at it ourselves? That's what I don't understand a lot of the times. Is like, we are good people in these things, but when you have people in high positions talking about 9/11 conspiracy is bad in England, then you have a problem, and then it's global.
Of course, dude. And I was reading a a comment on a video I had posted. I made a video that here, I'll tell you the title. You guys can look it up on YouTube. It's called A Small Example of How the Facts let me just look at it. The facts on the ground in Libya are being distorted.
Oh, okay.
And I just took 2 video clips from Al Jazeera, which is controlled by MI6, British Intel, and which is known. And they, on the 28th of June, they did a story how the rebels fought Gaddafi's forces by these mountains, and they stole this huge weapons cache and everything else. And then 2 days later, and of course the reporter witnessed the whole battle but didn't get 5 seconds of any video footage of it.
Wag the dog, my friend. Wag the dog.
Exactly. So then 2 days later, they admit that the French were airdropping the weapons into the mountains for weeks. And the video footage, the guy's like, they even stole 2 Russian T-72 tanks. They've had those tanks for weeks. They liberated them in earlier fighting, because if you go back and you do the research, you'll see that those tanks, they had dug in pretty much at the foothills of these mountains. Okay? And so what they did was they took pictures, and they admitted in the second report, you see that they're like, oh, it's a their convoy coming out of the mountains. So the tanks that you see coming in, they're like, they stole the tanks. They didn't steal them. They videoed this convoy coming down from the mountains, okay, with this weapon, with the weapons that they had picked up from France's airdrop, and they made up a fake fictional battle. And then 2 days later, they have this other report that they put out, but it's not as fancy, and it's just a couple video clips with a voice overlay. They don't have the reporter there and all the fancy live reporting, and they're like blah 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 blah, and yeah, the French dropped the weapons in, and that was a convoy. So they completely admit that that the first report was BS. So I put them together, and somebody commented, well, you have to. Kind of the reporters on the ground, sometimes their job is hard. Now, why are you making excuses for these people? Why would you make an excuse for somebody that blatantly lied to you, said he witnessed a battle that did not happen, and that 2 days later they report they did? In the report, you don't hear about this huge battle for this weapons cache.
Well, I mean, Popeye, if you notice, I was watching the video that you posted, and if you notice the reporter reporting live, right in the middle there, it seems like he kind of had to talk his way out of something. You know what I'm talking about? I believe the guy asked him about what the people there thought of it or something, or what the end game of the people thought, and he said, well, they don't like to talk about that or whatever. It's obvious, it's mind control. It was a bad question, I think.
Exactly, dude. It was a BS question. It was.
They catch themselves in their own lies. It doesn't matter, man. They do it themselves. That we don't really need to come at them and say you're lying, because they do it right in front of us. It's just there for us to find and realize we're being lied to, man.
The sooner people wake up, the sooner we can end this crap, and that's just the way it is. But I mean. It's like we can't let the lion sleep no more, man. We gotta just unleash this spiritual positivity upon the world, and it's a beautiful thing when you think about it. But in that same aspect, these people are going to use that against us, and we've got such a long road ahead of us, man. We're really only scratching the surface. Dude, it's so deep and dark. And
it's down the rabbit hole, brother.
Well, that's why I named the show what I did, because that's why I talk about. See, there's other truth guys or other shows, other radio show hosts talk about many other things. They focus on different things. I touch on everything, but there's certain things I focus on, like mind control and stuff, because no one else talks about that stuff. And to me, it's important for people to understand what's going on. I mean, I'm trying to get in touch with Kathy O'Brien or Mark Phillips, but they are really hard to get in touch with. So I'm trying my best. But people, you can go read her book, The Transformation of America. Just read it. Seriously, it's only a couple hundred pages. It's not that long. And you will just be blown away by the information in that book alone. And then From there, you'll find many other people that whistleblowers, I guess you could call them, or survivors that have come out and, told their story, and it's just incredible. You really need to go check it out. It's ridiculous.
Believe me, man, there's so much knowledge. I mean, I've been looking at this stuff for close to 7 years now, and like I said, only scratching the surface, man. Every day I find out something new. Every day I find out something that changes my viewpoint on the world. I try to have no cognitive dissonance. A lot of people like to say, well, you're connecting really far dots. Well, I'd like to tell them that I'm connecting all my dots with pencil. They can be erased, but some of those lines I draw over with pen because it's there. It's permanent.
Exactly. 10-4. Well, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, I mean, it's just basic truths, man. If you just do a little bit of looking at philosophy, man, it'll really open your mind to some stuff, dude. And I know you know that more than anyone.
Well, these guys are smart, man. I mean, there's philosophers that have written for the 9/11 Truth Movement. David Ray Griffin being one of them. One of the smartest men I've ever gotten the chance to read his stuff.
Yeah, I can't wait to read that book.
We're out of time. Thanks for listening to us for the past 4 hours, Will. Thanks for riding shotgun. Everybody have a hell of a 4th of July. Try to remember the 5th of November. Seriously, we need to get these idiots out. We need to fix our country and spiritually evolve. I'm out.